Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 24th of July 2023. So, I went down to the Hope Music Festival on Saturday there. Unfortunately, the rain or the weather wasn't very kind to us, and it started raining only after I'd been there a couple of hours or whatever. But retreated out of the rain and saw a very interesting talk, which I was able to record. I'll talk more about that in another video. I haven't quite finished uploading that, etc. But I will. That will probably be with you tomorrow. But it's quite an interesting one. And then I just spent the rest of the time trying to avoid the rain, talking to various people. I saw a couple of the talks, not many of them to be fair. I saw Rachel Elnor's talk. She's the ex-Dragon Dens lady who's very much awake and in the freedom movement. She did a short talk, and I just went around and talked to various other people. I had a bit of a chat with Mark Devlin. He was there. He wasn't doing a talk, but he was doing a DJ set later on. And just before leaving, I kind of left fairly early in the evening. I was only there on a day ticket thing, not through to the evening as well. So I left something in this little room. So I went in there and to retrieve it before going, and sitting in there was none other than David Icke, because he was doing a talk there. Like I say, I didn't sort of stay to watch his talk. I'm going to the Jam for Freedom and he'll be speaking there as well, so I'm waiting for him to speak at that talk to see him. But he was there, so I said hello and shook his hand and thanked him for his work, and that was quite something really. So that kind of leads me on to a video that I saw this morning over breakfast, and I suppose this video must be sort of 8-10 years old. It was Terry Wogan on a Richard and Judy show, back when he was alive and they were still going, and they were sort of talking about David Icke, because I think Wogan had done another interview with David in which he was expressing kind of a little bit of regret about his rough treatment of David in that kind of infamous 1990 interview that he did with him. And, where he's sort of saying, they're all laughing at you, or whatever he said. It does appear that Wogan did regret doing that a little bit. But, of course, they were all sort of basically saying, these conspiracy theorists are sort of crazy people, or not quite right, or just got to sort of, they're putting it reasonably politely in this sort of little video I saw, but they were sort of basically saying how people like you, if you're watching me, and people like me aren't quite right in the head, basically, is what they were inferring. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I wouldn't be a conspiracy theorist. Not that I regard myself as a conspiracy theorist. I don't regard myself as a truther even, really, to be fair. I don't do the sort of deep dive research that a proper truther does. I'm not really much on anything more than basic research. I just haven't got that kind of level, and that's not my personality. I haven't got like a detail mind. I'm more of a big picture type of guy, really. I like to sort of just look at things generally, maybe just to do a little bit of research here and there, just to verify as much as I can what I'm thinking, and that's me really. So I can't really call myself a truther, but I think I've got a pretty good nose for sniffing out what's right and what's wrong and what's a load of BS etc. And I think that served me quite well. But I think the only reason why I'm in that category of so-called conspiracy theorists, to use their term, is because they keep coming true, basically. If you don't want people to be conspiracy theorists, don't make what they're going on about come true after a few weeks, months or years. And it's as simple as that. And I was watching, the other video I saw over breakfast was by a guy called Jimmy Dore. I'm sure many people watching this will know who he is. He's kind of an American comedian, and I'll leave a link to the video I'm about to talk about from him in the description box below. A very recent video. And he was saying how, again, very recently, just literally in the last few days, the CDC and the New York Times have admitted that deaths caused by the lurgy might just be ever so slightly inflated. To use their figures, maybe as much as a third. And if they're admitting that they've been overinflated by a third, you can probably read more like 2/3, 4/5, or even 3/3. Who knows? Completely made up. But they were saying how, not Jimmy Dore, but the New York Times and the CDC were saying, well, basically what we may well have done is sort of counted anyone who went to hospital, tested positive, and then subsequently died. We just sort of put them down as lurgy deaths, even though it's very, very clear that they died of something else. And this is actually what they were saying. And then in this Jimmy Dore film, he actually plays clips from people like Deborah Birx, who's very senior, or was very senior in the American government, health advisor in the American government. And they also had a clip from this very senior politician in Illinois, I think it was, in that state. And both of these ladies were saying the same thing, well, what's happening is anyone who goes to hospital, tests positive, and then dies is put down as a lurgy death. And then sort of the New York Times and the CDC were saying, well, that's was possibly the wrong approach. Well, this is mainstream people admitting this. And a few years ago, if I'd said that on this, this channel, I would have been given a strike and pulled down and basically called by a lot of people, if I'm sort of saying this kind of thing to friends and family, you're a conspiracy theorist. And it's, and in fact, those two ladies I was talking about, Deborah Birx and the Illinois woman, they were actually saying that back in sort of 2021, not recently. And you could, this is just how mad it was. You could literally sort of turn around and say, well, these official people are saying what I'm saying, that these figures are overinflated, and your friends and family would turn around and go, oh no, yeah, that's just conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist, mate. And I'd be like, no, these are high up people in the American government saying what I've just said. So how does that make me a conspiracy theorist? And they'd just shake their heads and still call you that name. And it's just, what? Oh, I know, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? And then now, of course, we've got these mainstream people, New York Times, etc., who are saying the same thing. Proving that what was thought to be a conspiracy theorist by the mainstream was in actual fact. and this just keeps happening. That's just one example. Another example on a totally different subject is if you'd said a year ago or whenever it was that that Nord Stream pipeline thing was blown up, if you'd said, oh yeah, that was the Americans, again, that was, oh no, you're a conspiracy theorist, it was the Russians. Yeah, right, well, so Putin would blow up his own pipeline, would he? Oh yeah, get lost. And now, lo and behold, we've got that whistleblower, I think some guy quite high up in the American military or American government coming out and whistleblowing that, yeah, it was actually the Americans who did it. And so again, that's another one, and there's just so many examples of this. All of the predictive programming. I talked about this in passing just the other day, the 2012 London Olympics opening ceremony. And why wasn't that just some really light, pleasant, kind of thing to celebrate sport and the UK, sort of traditional stuff to do with the UK? Why was it all that, really weird stuff with NHS beds and dancing nurses, etc.? It's just, and all of these other things which incorporate satanic elements in these other ceremonies around as well. It's just, you point at the obvious, and the cognitive dissonance is just unbelievable, isn't it? So, what I would say to the mainstream is, if you don't want me to believe in these things and be a so-called conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't make them keep coming true, should you? They shouldn't keep coming true. And I'll just end this on that old sort of joke. By now it's pretty old. I first saw it nearly 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact? About 6 months. And as far as that sort of numbers thing I was talking about is concerned, it was more like 3 years, but it's sort of the point is there. Anyway, I'm going to leave a link to the Jimmy Dore video that I talked about in the description box below there. Go and check it out, and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.